Okay, these notes are mass-to-mass calculations or mass-to-mass conversions, whatever, doesn't matter, but we're still going to convert from one mass of one thing to the mass of another thing. Okay, when doing mass-to-mass conversions, you will need to use the molar mass of both substances along with the mole ratio. Guys, this is going to be a 3-step conversion. So let me put this up here. Okay, so the first step, you're going to be given a mass to begin with. So your problem is going to say how much of one thing is needed to react with or to make, so many grams of the next thing. So you're going to be given a mass. So the first step is to divide the given mass by its molar mass. Okay, I should say the given substance mass. Oops. Well, it would help if I could write. Okay, so given substance mass by its molar mass. Now that's going to give you moles of the given substance. So use your mole ratio to convert from moles of the given substance to moles of the needed substance. Now at this point in time, you got to take this moles of the needed substance and somehow make it mass. So if you multiply the moles of the needed substance by its molar mass, that will give you the mass. Okay? I mean, basically step 1 and 3 use the mole bridge. So I told you last unit we were going to be using that mole bridge again and again and again. We're only using the half, though, that goes from mass to moles and moles to mass. So you can ignore all the atom stuff. We don't need any of that. Okay, let's try an example now. Okay, so once again we're using our iron plus oxygen gives you rust, or iron 3 oxide. So how much rust can be produced from 243 grams of oxygen? So the first thing I'm going to do is circle the 2 substances that I'm working with. So I'm working with rust and oxygen. Okay. Now, step 1 is dividing by molar mass. So I am going to need the molar masses of both of these. If you remember from the beginning slide, I said that you will need to use a molar mass of both substances along with the mole ratio. So before we start, let's go ahead and get those. Okay, so oxygen is 32 grams per mole, and iron 3 oxide is 159.7 grams per mole. Okay, now let's go ahead and get our mole ratio since we know we're going to use this. So it's going to be 3 moles of O2 to 2 moles of Fe2O3. Okay, so I've got all my pieces. Now let's go ahead and do the problem. So the first step, step 1, is converting from mass to moles. So we're going to do this. We're going to divide by the molar mass. Oops. Now remember, I want your units, and this bottom unit is grams per mole, so that's what I want to see, grams per mole of O2. Now when we do that, we get 7.594. I'm going to stop at 4 numbers. My sig figs is 3 numbers, so I'm going to go ahead and go 1 past and go 4 numbers. And my units is mole of O2. So remember, step 1 always gives you moles of that substance that you started with. Now at this point in time, I need to do the mole ratio. Now sometimes I get lazy, and if you want to know the truth, I don't always write the second step. So this is a little bit of a shortcut. So let me show you what to do so you don't have to rewrite the moles again. You can get a little lazy here, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my picket fence right here. See? Make that into a picket fence. Now, my mole ratio goes here. So I have moles of oxygen to moles of rust. I'm going to put my moles of oxygen on bottom because I need it to cancel. Moles of Fe2O3. So if you have moles of oxygen in your mole ratio, that has to go on the bottom. Now this will give me, and I'm going to put it over here, 5.0627 moles of Fe2O3. Okay. Now this third step, by the way, this is the second step. The third step is where it tells you to multiply by the molar mass. Well, if you look at the mole bridge, if you're going from moles to mass, you do that by multiplying by the molar mass. So going to write that right here. And once again, I want to see your units. Okay? That tells me that you're following, whoops, not a good 3. You're following what you're supposed to be following. And then when you multiply it out, I want 3 sig figs, so in other words, round it to the nearest whole number at this point in time. And generally, if you do everything, your answers are all in 3 sig figs, unless it's a big, huge number. If you round it to the nearest whole number, that's good, if it's a big number. In this case, it would have been 809 point something, so it's just easier to do 809, because that is my 3 sig figs. Okay? And if you guys are off, if you guys carried out to too many decimal points, I really don't care. I'm not going to be counting on sig figs, okay? Just as long as your number rounds to something close to what I have, then you're fine, okay? Okay. Okay, this one is the one-step mass-to-mass conversion. With this method, we use a triple picket fence. Now, I already know that I'm going to be needing the molar mass of both substances and the mole ratio. So I'm going to go ahead and do that first thing before I start. So I'm looking at rust. Whoa, wait a minute. Well, it would help if my pen was on. Okay, so I got rust, and rust is 159.7 grams. And the other substance is oxygen, which is 32 grams. Okay, now my mole ratio, it's 3 moles of O2 to 2 moles of Fe2O3. Okay, so I'm going to need all these pieces. So of course, remember what I told you when we were doing the one-step method, I like to do a road map first. So I'm actually going to do this road map first. Okay, so road map. And you don't have to write the words road map. You can just do it yourself. Okay, so I've started out with mass of oxygen. I need to get to moles of oxygen. Remember, we never want to stay in mass. We always want to convert to moles. So to do that, we got to divide by molar mass. At least that's what the mole bridge tells us. Remember I told you in Unit 7 that we would probably end up using the mole bridge again. Yeah, we keep using it. So you may want to have it written somewhere, at least the mole to mass and mass to mole portion of it. That second half, you know, those moles and mass notes that I gave you, keep that somewhere. Don't lose those, because you're going to keep looking at them as far as the mole bridge goes, because we're going to keep, you know, converting from moles to mass and mass to moles. Okay, so now that we have moles of oxygen, we've got to go to moles of Fe2O3. And of course, to do that, this is where we use the mole ratio. And then going from moles of Fe2O3 to mass of Fe2O3. This time, if you look at the mole bridge, going from mole to mass, we multiply by molar mass. Okay, so now that we have our plan together, we're going to go ahead and I'm going to set this up forward, and we're going to do our triple picket fence. Okay, so we're going to start out with 243 grams of O2. I'm going to draw a long line. Okay, so now I've got to divide by molar mass. So that means my molar mass goes on bottom and 1 mole goes on top. Okay, now I've got my 1 mole of O2. I need to convert to moles of Fe2O3, so I'm going to use my mole ratio. So I have 3 moles of O2 and 2 moles of Fe2O3. Well, I have, if you notice, I've got moles of O2 here, so that means I need to put moles of O2 down here. So I'm going to put, of course, the 3 goes with it. And that means I need my 2 moles of Fe2O3 up top. So I can cross these out. Remember, you're always trying to cross out. Okay, now it says multiply by molar mass. That means I put it on top. And if I put the mass part on top, I need to put the mole part on bottom. Now we're going to double check to make sure, whoops, our units cancel, so we have moles of O3 on top and moles of O3 on bottom. So they're diagonal, so they cancel. Now we're going to take 243 times 2 times 159.7 gives us 77614.2, and then 32 times 3 is 96. And this gives us 808 grams of Fe2O3. Now I know it's one off of the three-step method, and that's going to happen at times, and that's because with the three-step method we round in each step. So you might be off by 1 or 2 or by a tenths place. You're probably not always going to get the exact same number, but it doesn't matter. Okay, so tomorrow we will do warm-ups. We'll do a couple of warm-ups, and I'll do both methods. We may only do one problem with the 2 different methods, but use whichever method that you feel the most comfortable with. If you don't like using the triple picket fence, then don't even write these notes down. Just scratch them out. Okay, I'm not going to do a notes quiz, so you don't have to worry about it. But I want you to, use whichever method you're most comfortable with. Okay, so I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.